guys, we're back on my couch. Welcome back to another episode of Sustainable in the Sea. I'm Carissa, your host. I'm on the couch with Riley. I'm wearing a FutureSwell shirt. These are live, by the way. I don't know if you know we had merch. All sustainable. Recycled materials, of course. I just decided to record this podcast today because I got good news. I got bad news. I'm in like a really amazing chapter in my life, in my career right now, but I'm feeling like devastated about the state of the ocean, and I can't imagine I'm the only marine conservationist out here who feels this way. So I thought I would make an episode about it. So in this episode, we're going to emotionally process that, one, Iceland just reopened whaling. Two, deep sea mining as a global movement because they're linked. And three, what I'm up to work-wise right now in summer 2024 and kind of what we did for World Ocean Day, like as a little recap. I'll do that after I emotionally trauma dump on you about my ocean climate grief / hope. I don't know. Anyway, that's what this episode is going to be about. I'm trying to do more things that are more like just sharing with you genuinely what it's like to work in this field. So that's what this episode's going to be about. And I love you guys. The shirt is soft if you want to match. Welcome back to Sustainability and the Sea. Oh, God. Okay. It is Tuesday, June 11th. World Ocean Day was last week. We're in the middle of World Ocean Month. And I just got home from a long, very fulfilling day working at my coral restoration job. And I open my phone and I see that the whaling campaign that I worked on forever for the last month and a half with a group of amazing people failed. Well, kind of. Iceland granted a permit to a millionaire, to kill 128 fin whales. Today, they granted that permit. It was a hunting license. This isn't nuanced whaling. I call nuanced whaling like, indigenous folks are relying on whaling for subsistence. That is totally different than industrial commercial whaling. This is straight up just a powerful rich person who got the government to grant the license. I will say that the license is only for 1 year, so it's another fight at a later time. But that's 128 beautiful, sentient fin whales that will be killed with harpoons. Like we were in the early 1900s hunting whales for oil, like we're in the freaking Stone Age. What are we doing? How are we still having this conversation? The Save the Whales movement already happened. Why are we regressing? Is it because everybody forgot? Did you guys forget? I didn't forget. What is going on? What is going on? This is huge mistake. We will look back at this and gawk in regret. Okay? When I was at Our Ocean, I was pulled into this like social media campaign, and we were able to interview a handful of people saying, we're not going to go to Iceland if you don't whale. I'm not going to Iceland. Let's boycott Iceland. I'm not going. I'm not going until they ban whaling again. What is going on? Why are we killing whales? But we did interview Sylvia Earle, or get like a quick, it was going to be a reel. So if you call that an interview, I call it an interview, for this campaign. And she said, I just posted it on the FutureSwell Instagram. She said, whales are citizens of your country too. That's it. What are you doing? And also, I just want to say, what? I don't know how lobbying and closed door back room political deals work. And I barely know about how it works in the US. I don't know how it works in other countries. But what is going on? What is he doing? Whale meat? we're past that. We are past this point. I'm devastated. You guys who have been with us for a long time know that whales were obviously my entry point into conservation. Whales are the reason that I felt connected to the ocean. They're the reason that I found my way to conservation from marine biology. When I was a grad student, I was working against captivity here. I did grow up going to SeaWorld, and when I knew better, I elevated my thinking and I worked against captivity in here. And we are just, this is so backwards and we're just so behind and we're going to regret this. If you want to do something about this, the campaign organizers are the Last Whaling Station on Instagram. That's their name. And they have an entire dashboard of action items. The sentiment of the message group chat that I've been in about this campaign is they're bringing out lawyers. They're bringing out all of the big campaign elements to stop this, and they're not done. And we're obviously not going down without a fight. And so I need you guys to engage on this issue. And besides whales being sentient and beautiful and magical and supporting tourism economies and livelihoods, besides them being just magical, important marine life, we just had Aotearoa designate whales with personhood. It's so crazy. Indigenous people know they're revering whales and other top predator marine food chain species for the respect that they deserve. Why would we then? Is the government not listening? So we've got personhood going on one hand. We've got the United Nations about to designate whales as the animal of the decade or whatever. And then we've got Iceland, who just granted a hunting license for fin whales. Fin whales are baleen whales. They're huge. They're they're really part of the large whale family, and they are huge allies in the carbon fight. Whales are one of the largest carbon sinks. Just really quick. Okay, so they're big, so they store carbon. Then they die, they sink. Their entire body, as it decomposes, serves as food to sustain everything. They're called whale falls. Whale falls sustain so many parts of the ocean. They sink to the seafloor, where they continue to feed marine life for decades and keep the carbon in the deep sea out of the atmosphere, warming our planet. I can't. I'm feeling this is really heavy. This is weighing on me, but I can't help but also say we also had some wins for World Ocean Week. I can't. And that's what I want. That's why I clicked record and brought out this microphone, is because there's an important message that I don't feel is talked about enough. And that is that to be in this movement and to be in this fight, you have to have the courage and the space to hold both grief and joy, devastation and celebration at the same time. And that is, for lack of a better word, a mind fuck. I didn't know what else. I don't know what else to call it. So we also, in this past 2 days, Peru joined the global coalition against deep sea mining, calling for a moratorium. I'll do an entire episode on deep sea mining, but if you follow us on any social accounts, you've probably seen it. It's an industry that hasn't started, that's very similar to what happened in Iceland. It's being pioneered, except globally instead of in one country, by a billionaire, a very powerful man who really just wants to rake up the entire deep sea, disrupt our last pristine ecosystem, ruin the carbon cycle, and exploit the hell out of this amazing place that sustains life and is where all life began. That's where we're at with deep sea mining. It hasn't started yet, but they, I worry. So Peru became the 26th country to join the call for a moratorium. The U.S. hasn't joined, just for the US girlies listening right now, or whatever, dudes, whatever. The US hasn't joined. Can we join? I would love that. We have some work to do, US girlies. So the first thing I want to say is powerful people are going to continue to show their power and use it for bad, and we need to organize. When I was at the World Wildlife Fund like Capitol Hill Day, I did an episode on it. We went for plastic pollution. Someone said something to me, and they were like, if you're not in the room lobbying for good, like lobbying your senators and your representatives on these issues that matter, you need to assume that someone else is in there lobbying against the highest good for humanity. And that is all I thought about today. I thought about how that guy, the billionaire or millionaire in Iceland who got the license, he's been in there lobbying. I thought about the deep sea mining mogul from Australia, the metals company. They've been in those rooms. And we need to assume that if we are not actively showing up, mobilizing, organizing, joining coalitions, activating on this, they are. Big oil is. Big plastic is. Have you joined? So I just want to give you an opportunity, a really tangible call to action on these two issues. Last Whaling Station has multiple calls to action where you can email the Icelandic government. Iceland has a really big tourist economy, so us actually emailing them being like, we're literally not going to come, we're going to boycott you, is like a powerful, like, you know, global flex as someone who's not a citizen of the country. Deep sea mining, on the other hand, first of all, thank you, Peru. Congratulations, if we have any Peru listeners. This is a big deal. Other countries that have joined the fight: France, Greece, Mexico, Palau, a lot. Okay, and that is the work of community organizers. So thank you to everyone there. There is a lot of community organizing going on in the US as well that you can plug into. You can follow Look Down Action on Instagram, which has a collation of all of the action items globally. You can follow Sustainable Ocean Alliance, who has hubs in every country, most country, working with deep sea mining as a focal point for those hubs. Hawaii passed deep sea mining ban in state waters this past legislative session, SB 2575. The governor hasn't signed it yet, so I haven't been able to celebrate or talk about it on social media because I don't want to do it before he signs it, and it's law. And so in the U.S., we can focus this on like a state level, state waters, but really it's about a much larger issue. These are big global issues, but the ability to hold both grief, devastation, joy, celebration, and be stoked that Peru passed the deep sea mining moratorium, or stated that they're part of the moratorium, and be devastated that we have gone back into the barbaric Stone Age where we are now harpooning whales again, or at least a country is, comes with, like, frankly, a lot of practice and a lot of, like, not disassociating. Like, it's like my avoidant attachment style girls. Disassociation is a coping mechanism, right? And, you know, sometimes it's a strategy that keeps you safe, but to be honest, like, I feel stoked about Peru, and I feel devastated about these whales right now. In my body, I feel both of these things. And I think that having the ability to feel both and to not try to change them and to not try to change how you feel is a skill that is learned through practice. And it's a skill that all ocean activists and conservationists will need to practice. And so it's the same thing. Like, we just watched this entire World Ocean Day campaign globally. And I'm just like, everyone's like, feeling optimistic. I was even part of it. Like, you know, go outside, go enjoy nature, join this thing that you want to protect. And I'm like, this is hard to write sometimes. It is hard to tell you guys, like, everything is fine, because it is so not fine. It's like the farthest thing from fine. And that is a real feeling that needs to be felt not alone. You're not meant to feel that alone. Another reason why I turned this into an episode is because like your ocean climate grief is not meant to be felt in isolation. You need a network of supporters. You need friends that work in the space. My person is, I have Alex, of course, but Alex feels differently about these issues. He's not like a bleeding heart in the same way that I am. Like I'm like, my whole day is ruined, you guys. My whole day is ruined. Luckily, it's 6. My person is my best friend, Lauren. I think I've had her on the podcast. She works mainly in marine debris. And Lauren is the person that I call and I'm just like, what are we doing here? And I think a lot of the conversations that we have, and I'm so sorry if this episode is too dark for you. Like, I am normally not like this, but I think it needs to be said, is like, you know, we're going to be doing this for the rest of our lives. It doesn't matter. Like, I would rather be doing this the rest of my life and have it be a grim outcome than just abstain. Like, it's not a choice for me, I don't feel like. And it's definitely not a choice for her. So the way we talk about it is we're like, how do we just like build an inner resilience around this? How do we build boundaries? So with that being said, I want to spend the second part of this episode telling you about how we spent World Ocean Day and the things that I did that gave me hope. The ocean conservation movement is decentralized. It's part of the reason why I started a decentralized media company in ocean conservation, FutureSwell, is because we need to learn from others, learn from how they're doing it, but also because like governments can pass all these strategies and these plans and disperse all this funding, but the actual people implementing it are always going to be people. So that's how I spent my World Ocean Day. You guys know that I work in coral restoration. I do not do the fun stuff like scuba diving and planting coral, but I do get to work with a really amazing team who does do that. And they had an amazing event where we got to engage young people, kids, and families in coral restoration directly. They got to fragment corals for World Oceans Day. And it's always really inspiring seeing this experience for the first time through new eyes. It's kind of when people come to visit you and you get to show them your favorite spot and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And you're like, wow, I took this spot for granted or something, you know, and you get to see it through their eyes. That's how these events always feel to me. They always feel like, wow, we're doing something that is life-changing. And they always remind me that, like, well, if I had that experience when I was, like, 8 years old, I would be forever changed. And that we are forever changing these 8-year-olds' lives. So we did a coral fragmentation community event. And then we're also in the middle of a program that is training West Oahu residents mainly, or, like, Oahu-based residents on coral restoration. It's an 8-week accelerated program that was built with Inflation Reduction Act funds. That's an aside, is that these common themes of like the billionaire lobbying our representatives, the billionaire getting his hunting permit license, the fact that we were able to build this incredible coral restoration training program because federal policy was passed on climate funding, that's a result of who we vote for, friends. And in another episode, I talked about how I learned at Aspen Ideas Climate, how most environmentalists don't vote under age 35. Are you listening? Have you guys voted? It's really not that scary. Nowadays, they just mail it to your house. So we have a really important election this year that will determine whether or not the people in those rooms can be convinced. Like, if a lobbyist is coming in and being like, you should mind the deep sea, and we have environmentalists that we elected, they're going to be like, no. But if we don't show up to vote and someone who's not an environmentalist gets elected and those lobbyists come through and they try to convince them to mind the deep sea, those elected officials might be more able to be convinced. That is what we're talking about here. And we're not talking about a person. A single person isn't going to save us. We're talking about the systemic critical mass of elected officials. Because the systemic critical mass of elected officials are what passed the Inflation Reduction Act to unlock the most climate funding I have ever seen in my entire life. to help us build this program that serves underserved communities with the paid skill-based training to join coral restoration and enable us to build a restoration army for Hawaii to save coral reef. That is a result of, yes, people like who built the program, right? But it's also a result of the federal policy that was passed by elected officials, that we have a lot of power of who we vote for. You guys, please go to vote.gov to register. It takes 5 minutes. Check your registration status just to make sure in case you moved, and confirm that you have a ballot being mailed to your house. Please. And when that ballot comes to your house, please do not just vote for a presidential election. Please vote down ballot. Please vote for community representatives. Please vote for your city council. Please spend the 25 minutes of looking up their names and seeing what they stand for. Please. Because of how mobilized and organized Gen Z and millennials are, every state in the U.S. is a purple state. We can swing anything. Did you know that if all of us, millennials and Gen Z, showed up to vote, we would determine the fate of every single election? Did you know that? You have so much power. I know it feels hard. I know it feels like a broken system. Trust me, I know that. But you have so much power. All right, that's my soapbox on that. So we have this amazing program where students are coming and getting trained on coral restoration techniques. And we went to a community work day with a partner organization that does restoration upstream. And we got to teach them about coral restoration. We had a fellow organization teaching about marine debris. And everybody just got to connect. And 60 people came out on World Ocean Day on Saturday to learn from everyone and talk to each other and build community. And they did this beautiful thing at the end where there was like a closing circle. And we got to go around and we got to talk about what we learned. And that was so beautiful because we got to see that like people are just excited to connect with one another and to connect with land, connect with Aina, connect with restoration, connect with solutions, connect with their neighbors. And like, that's the sauce, you know? That's the sauce. So when you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're a bleeding heart just like me, there has to be some of you. You guys, when I was like 15, I would just like cry. I found out about the Taiji dolphin slaughter through The Cove, the documentary The Cove. I just sobbed for like 4 days straight. Like this is the level of emotional capsule that is inside my body. And even though I'm a little older now, I'm still the same person. And so when I'm feeling that overwhelm, like I felt today, remembering that you're part of something bigger than yourself with a lot of helping hands and you don't have to carry it all on your back alone is really important. And so the best thing that I would recommend doing is to call your Lauren, call your best friend, and call your community organization and go volunteer and sign up. And please go to vote.gov. Sorry about the soapbox. Someone else, and I'm also sorry if I ruined your day with this information about the whaling. I'm really sorry. I ruined my own day when I opened my own phone and saw that. So, but there's so much that we can do, and there's so much we have to do. And the outlook might be not great today, but there are days when it is a good outlook, and you can't forget that. So, I love you guys. You're not alone. Please vote, and please join the whaling campaign. We can't all be part of every campaign. I struggle with this a lot, especially running FutureSwell. We can't be part of every campaign, but we can be part of some, and we can do our part. And you can do your part, and I can do mine, and together, holding hands, we will make a difference. And that is what we're here to do, because it's not a choice for me. And if you're listening to this, it's probably not a choice for you either. I love you guys.